My name's Simon Barrow, and I lead the Google Cloud Professional Services team in EMEA. My team and I are focused every day on making our customers successful on Google Cloud, encompassing both technology change, but also changes in the ways our customers work. Tanu and I are here today to talk specifically about a crucial part of the journey that our customers look to us for help with: creating and sustaining a culture of engineering excellence that allows you to move with agility and stay focused on the needs of your customers. Consuming public cloud technology is very different from traditional technology. Lots of companies are on this adoption journey, and the challenges posed by COVID-19 and the related lockdowns around the world have accelerated the urgency of this journey. This change offers increased agility, pace, collaboration, and ultimately innovation. But realizing these changes requires more than only a change in technology, and we're here today to talk you through the key organizational changes that need to take place, how to spot whether they're working or not, and what you can do now to accelerate your journey. As we know, one of the fundamental principles of modern operations is bringing teams closer together. However, with the recent and rapid changes enforced by COVID, this answer doesn't work as well and can actually increase the common organizational pain points and tensions which constrain an organization's journey to the cloud. So, what are some of the symptoms to look out for that will tell you that your organization still needs to evolve? At a cultural level, typical negative indicators to look out for include the perception that feedback is criticism, to be contested and rejected for fear of negative consequences, which means that there's less psychologically safe space to learn and grow when things go wrong. An approach to information sharing, which is strictly need to know, which kills the serendipity that enables collaboration and is the crucial potential spark for innovation. A pervasive habit for every decision to require hierarchical approval, which makes them slow, expensive, and as you go higher up the hierarchy, increasingly risks taking decisions out of the hands of the people closest to the problem. At a structural level, if engineering capability has been outsourced for a long time, this can erode in-house progression because skills are valued elsewhere, which then makes attracting and retaining the best talent and, of course, hiring the next generation of talent even harder. The perception that to be successful, it's more important to deliver on time and to budget than it is to meet the customer's needs, which means that over time, the focus is increasingly on what people can control, like following the process, rather than successfully solving a customer problem. And that every initiative requires a generalist project manager to be allocated, which potentially devalues the voice of the customer and erodes the obsessive focus on the customer, which is essential to agile organizations. Tanu is now going to talk us through what good looks like. Over to you, Tanu.
Thank you, Simon. Hello, everyone. I am Tanu Gupta, and I head up the digital transformation consulting team for Google Cloud in EMEA. Today, I'm here to share with you on how critical it is to cultivate a culture of engineering as a key step to overcoming some of the challenges that Simon mentioned earlier. Culture can mean many different things to many people. And so we're deliberately going to focus on simplifying some of the concepts and focus on some of the tangible interfaces and levers that you can pull. Again, none of these concepts are brand new, and you will be familiar with many of them. But we're going to examine how you can start to intervene and kickstart the change. All right, let's dig in. At its core, it has to start with the user, always. And so, a good culture of engineering has to bring different functions closer together around the user or the customer's needs. Right. So now we have the user or the customer at the center. Who are the different players you would typically think about? You would typically think about the business, who will define the customer's needs and plan around it. Engineering, who's going to be charged with building what the customer needs. And operations, who will typically be asked to run what has been built. And typically, in a culture that's project oriented, this whole process will be quite linear. But in a product oriented approach, you will look at it slightly differently. In this approach, you will have a cross functional team representing all of these players working together iteratively, designing, developing, and testing the solution, as well as soliciting feedback early and frequently. Now, let's look at the core relationships between the three entities. Between business and engineering, ensuring that there is developmental agility, which is based on feedback from users. Cross functional teams representing both business and engineering work together to iteratively design, develop, and test a solution, and solicit feedback often from users and often control functions like risk and security very early and very often. Next, between engineering and operations, there is DevOps collaboration. The responsibility for the health of the product or the service, often known as the SLA, is shared between those who built it and those who run it. And finally, between the operations and the business, the key relationship is reliability engineering. Realistic error budgets help mediate between the business and the IT operations by making explicit the amount of risk that the business is willing to accept to create space for engineering velocity. Now, some of you might be thinking that you're doing this already, and some of you might even be advanced in these practices. So, if you're in this stage, how do you know that this is working? Or what is your moment of truth? The moment of truth between a business and the engineering interface is when teams can genuinely reorient and revisit requirements on customer feedback. And control functions like security and risk aren't seen as a barrier to velocity. Between engineering and operations, the moment of truth is when DevOps is accepted as a continual evolution rather than a magic bullet. It can never be a magic bullet. And you will also see a strong behavior around measure, reflect, and improve cycle to address bottlenecks over time. And the key DevOps performance metrics are consistently evaluated. And finally, between operations and business, the moment of truth is when reliability targets are jointly set. And when something goes wrong, it's treated as an opportunity to learn and improve rather than blame anyone else. All right, now that we have looked at the core set of relationships, let's look at the next level. Again, you will see three levers within the broader fabric of culture. And these interactions that you see on the slide, they are sustained when people have the right tools, skills, and are enhanced by a culture which encourages openness and collaboration. So, what are those three levers for an engineering culture? Number one is talent development and enablement. Practitioners, developers, and operators have the skills required to make the shift to the cloud. And there's a program to engage and excite the community. Number two is culture. These interactions are surrounded by a culture which defaults to sharing knowledge openly. And when SLA breaches do occur, and they often occur, blameless postmortems facilitate the collaborative search for the systemic root cause of an issue without fear of punishment, or what we call as psychological safety. And number three is tooling. Teams are empowered to shape their own work, following their own process and style, and a consolidated and coherent tool stack encourages alignment to guardrails and good practices. So, again, how will you know when this is working for you? For talent, your moment of truth will come when skill and capability development is continual. There is support across an engineering career, and learning is never seen as optional. For culture, the moment of truth will come when the pervasive mindset changes from What do I have to do to get this over the line? 2. What can I automate so that my job becomes easier in the long run? From who can we blame for this failure? To this is an opportunity to learn and share my learning far and wide so that others can learn from me as well. And finally, the moment of truth for engineering is for tools is when engineering approach shifts from why is it so hard to get everything done to I use shared tools to make life easier. All right. So you see, at the end of the day, the key is to establish the right interactions and relationships structurally and the right behaviors, mindsets, and tools culturally. For this, you have a very important role to play as a leader in your organization. To share about this further, I would like to hand it over to Simon again.
Thank you, Tanu. As a leader, your role in this journey is essential. What you're trying to encourage is a psychologically safe environment that encourages change. Your organization, however, will likely be very good at stifling change and innovation as it happens, and it's your job to overcome this. Role model risk taking. Use failure as a mechanism to demonstrate the space to learn and evolve using tools like blameless postmortems. Celebrate the parts of your organization that are part of the way on the journey, and as that momentum builds, make sure you sustain it by celebrating successes as you go. So, what are some of the small things you can do right now? Consistently, we find that fear of change is one of the biggest impediments to technical change, and you can overcome this by mapping out how people's roles will evolve over time, demonstrating a clear learning plan and certification process to help people see that their future is both safe and bright. Could you encourage an experiment to bring control functions into the development process, for example, by using delegates for risk and security embedded into an early phase agile team? Can you ring fence small cross functional teams and give them an aggressive goal to get started quickly, move fast, and do things differently? That's going to teach you about the hard stuff, and it's also, if successful, going to get you to the benefits quickly. Okay, so we've talked you through the importance of engineering excellence, what to look out for to know things aren't going so well, and a model to think about how to implement these changes, and then some of the interventions that you can put in place right now. Good luck on your journey, and please reach out to Google Cloud if we can help. Thank you.